All right. Good night, everybody. Well, I guess good evening. It's dark here because it's storming, but good evening. Welcome to this week's stream. Yeah, it's storming here. Welcome to another stream. This week I don't have a ton of bourbon news, so we'll kind of focus on drinking, which is something we typically haven't done. Russell's is still on schedule. We will be also doing a smooth ambler selection, like we talked about last week, which is pretty cool. I think that's it on the selection news front. Russell's is on its way. It's going to get bottled, all that fun stuff. We got 2 casks. Probably do 2 from Smooth Ambler 2. Look for pre-sale information this week. And I think that's it for administrative stuff. I personally got a haircut, which you can probably tell. If you watch movies, I recently watched the movie Fury.
Yeah.
That tank movie. So there's some influence there. Otherwise, I ended up with a buzz cut. But yeah, so tonight we're going to drink some Knob Creek, I think. We might switch it up a little bit at the end. But John and I have been doing a little work. We have a standard Knob Creek off-the-shelf rye. For those of you that know me, I've drank plenty of Knob Creek bourbon, so I think we're going to switch it up. We're going to go for the Knob Creek Ryes tonight. We'll also drink the 2010 Cask Strength Limited Edition. I think it's limited, yeah. Barreled in 2010, they say. It's at 63.5% ABV from Warehouse A. I had the 2009 that I thought was pretty stellar, so I picked up the 2010 on a whim. And then alongside that, we're going to switch it up a bit. We have some Peerless. Peerless, I don't think will compete with the limited edition rye, but it'll be fun to see how they compare against a big box guy like Beam, especially Beam doing something they don't always do, which is rye. I did not get a group rate. I think that's actually pretty funny. I did not get a group rate on the haircuts, but John and I did apparently see the same barber.
Yeah, what happened was we were at the suit store picking up our jackets, and they were like, "Did you guys hear that there was a sale going on across the road? The guy doing the haircuts is doing, if you buy a jacket, you get a free haircut." So we signed up for that. We each got one of the same, and got our balls waxed. It all worked out pretty good.
Squeaky clean.
KC12 for Aaron. All right.
Yeah. Like the timeline for Smooth Ambler, probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll start receiving samples. So there'll be plenty of info on that. That will not sneak up on us like Russell's. But there's some other fun stuff in the works too that might sneak up. So the next 6 months should be pretty fucking wild, at least in my opinion.
The way we like it.
Yeah. For disclosure, Peerless did send out these little bottles since they do 200 milliliters, which I think is pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I bought a bunch of these already, so this is not the first brush with Peerless. Have you had Peerless yet, John?
Yeah, I had when it was 2 years, I grabbed the rye and bourbon.
Okay.
I paid for those ones, and I thought they were decent. I mean, especially for something young. Sam, who also writes for TheBourbonFinder occasionally, tried the bourbon rather, and he really liked that. He wound up doing our first review on the TheBourbonFinder of the Peerless bourbon. I think he rated it a B. He was pretty into it even when it was pretty young. He's since picked up a few single barrels and stuff. I think it's safe to say that he's a fan. So we're going to actually be posting our review of the Peerless Rye and bourbon now that it's hit 4 years. I think I'm meeting up with him Friday to drop off the rest of these flasks so he can write up his notes on there. I've got mine done. So I think our review for that is going to come out near the end of the month.
Awesome.
But it'll be a pretty cool comparison.
Yeah, it'll be interesting here. So actually, when I was in Lexington, I bought a single barrel sample as well that was 3 years. So this one should, I think, be 4, but it'll be a blend. So if we get a little extra time, we'll compare those. But yeah, those will be a 3 for the night. Ooh, the Chattanooga single barrel.
Nice.
Is that the seal box pick?
Yeah, I'm guessing that must be.
Because I think only one other set of people have gotten the other barrels so far.
All right, what are you starting out with? You go with Shelfie Knob Creek?
Actually, I was warming up a little bit with some Bullet.
Okay.
We'll transition on over. I've been slow here.
That's all right. I actually had a little pour of the Basil Hayden Rye to warm up on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Did you try like the 2x4 rye or the dark rye or the Caribbean rye?
No, the reviews on them seem to be so polarized, and it seemed to be basically if you're really into sweet stuff that is more finished than original product, you might be into it. I left all those alone.
That was smart.
I'm kind of going back and forth on do I want to do a Basil Hayden lineup and just go through all of them because I have this this stupid knack for doing really long, drawn out articles where I compare like fucking 10 things. And by the end of it, I'm sure anybody who reads them is just like, man, I wish this fucking thing would be over. But I'm kind of feeling the same way about those. But I like to compare a bunch of stuff together and see what I like out of them. I might do it with Basil Hayden, but I'm not making any promises on it because most of those just sound not that great.
Well, I'll give you, I think it was last Christmas. I was out with a couple buddies in Milwaukee. I tried the 2x4 and the Caribbean and the dark, and I paid like $8 a pop, I think. And I did not finish any of those three at the bar. I just sent them back and got something else. And was like,
No kidding.
There goes that $25. I mean, I tried them. I had a sip, but. Whew,
yeah, our buddy Blake Stump here wants to let us know that they taste so far from what rye whiskey should taste like. Yeah. That's kind of been the consensus, and that's why I've largely left them alone. But the Basil Hayden Rye, I had heard enough decent stuff about that when it hit locally, I was like, well, I mean, I've spent $69 on far worse things, so I'll give it a spin and see what it's like. I've got a review coming up for that soon.
You're a braver man than I am.
Look at this. Jordan's got an idea. I wanted to pour some Caribbean Rye in a pound cake and let it soak in.
That does seem like a good use for it. I won't lie to you.
That'd be one fucking Gucci pound cake, though. You'd be talking. Oh, what is the Caribbean Rye? $60?
Yeah, I don't know. I
can't remember. I don't track the Basil price. I know that they're always just high. They're 80 proof
going
and
up.
price high.
It used to be like 43.
Yeah.
It went to 49 and 54 and 59 and
60. It's tough to get behind a 40% ABV bottle that costs what those cost. I mean, if they were
like the normal entry is just so boring.
Yeah. Especially when you could just buy Old Granddad, right?
Yeah, 1 out of 10. Nah, it's good stuff. I think that Basil's exists. It's like the Johnny Walker Blue that everyone can afford because it's fancy.
It does. Yeah. You know what I like to do with it is I buy Basil Hayden as a gift bottle for folks who like whiskey but don't care if it's Jack or bourbon. Like, you know, they just generically think whiskey is cool.
Yeah.
That's like a gift bottle.
That's a perfect application.
Yep. It's easy. I mean, like, it's sweet. It's light. Super approachable. There's like zero ethanol to it. I mean, anybody can drink that.
There was a, before we get into it, there was a really funny, there's a post on Our Bourbon last week, and it was someone asking if it was worth it to spend an extra $10 for bourbon they put in lemonade. And someone was like, "Oh, you should buy Basil Hayden's to put in the lemonade." And the post was like, "Will I get better flavor?" And someone was like, the Basil Hayden's will just dilute your lemonade. Like,
yeah,
just buy anything else." And I was like, "Oh, you know, I'd probably agree with you there."
You know, in all honesty, I'll beat up on it a little bit, but I do like Basil Hayden. I mean, it tastes all right. I mean, it's just priced way too high for what it is. It's very low ABV, very light whiskey.
Yeah, if I could afford it to golf with, that'd be like my golf.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
You know, I don't want to take like Booker's because I won't make it to like the 13th hole.
Well, and it's like fucking $85.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I actually, admittedly, I peeled the wax off this rye bottle, but I have not had any of it. Nice.
We'll consider that. I'll have to run that by my agent, though.
Oh, your agent will get a pay raise if it goes through.
You get that right.
But yeah, I bought the Knob Creek Rye, and I figured I'd take the wax off pre-stream, but I haven't had any yet, and it's been years, I think, since I've had. I think the last Beam Rye I had was probably Booker's Rye, maybe.
Nice.
Like a ways back, or maybe one of the single barrel ryes, but
yeah, I've had a couple samples here and there, maybe over the last year or so, of a Cask Rye, and you know what? I'm also thinking I'm mixing those up a little bit with Jack Daniel's single barrel rye too. I've had a few. One of those magic sample packs that arrives with 5 whiskey samples in it, and just enough leaked out that none of them have a label anymore.
Oh no!
And so I get to sort of like do it extremely blind. Yeah. And message the sender and say, so this one I think is probably a Whistle Pig 12. This one I think is a Whistle Pig 10. This one I have no fucking clue what it is. This one tastes like it could be Jack Daniels. Like, And between the two of us, we sussed out, I think, 4 of the 5 total samples and didn't quite dial in any of the real reality of what was going on, but it was still pretty fun.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, we had a good time with it. It was kind of a cool experiment, I guess. A good, a happy accident, I guess you could say. Yeah, my
favorite
agent.
are, like, occasionally I'll send out a blind, and then like 2 years later, someone will be like, hey, what was that blind sample you sent me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have moved twice. I don't know what your blind sample was.
Right. That's why I put fucking QR codes on them so you could scan them yourself.
Yeah. Hail the
That's
QR.
the best thing going, man. All right, so we're digging into the Knob Creek Rye here. Anybody who just tuned in, we're going to be kind of sifting through these. We got the Knob Creek Shelfie Rye, the 100 proof. We've got the 2010, Jay?
Yep.
2010 Cask Strength Limited Edition. And then we're also going to, after we kind of dig through these, compare them back to Peerless. That is why you use a label maker. A thermal printer is the answer.
Yeah, the label maker rocks. Yeah, so there's no age statement on this. 50% ABV. My guess is probably, what do you think? 5 to 7 years, probably.
Yeah.
It's got some good oak to it. Oh no,
yeah, it's got pretty good character. I wouldn't be surprised if it was over 6 years. It's also strikes you as a pretty low rye though. I mean, this is no Whistle Pig. Oh, there's my agent, Sutan, who just showed up wearing his white Oakleys. Congratulations, Sutan, actually. He's probably still in the hospital here. Just had a baby.
Oh, congrats. Hey.
Do we have a name yet, Sutan? Can we name your baby on stream tonight? Last I heard, he didn't have a name. Or
yeah, you better, if you're going to have us name it, do it now instead of at the end.
Hey, this could get just weird enough to name this baby.
You're going to end up with a ding dong.
Yeah, ding dong. You're welcome, buddy.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully you're not watching this instead of sleeping. Oh, that's a beautiful name.
I like that.
Best
I like
cities
Madison
on Earth.
a lot. It's a good name. In the hospital, confirmed. We've got a name. We've got a happy baby. Hopefully, we've got a happy mom. And life is good. And you are changing about 70 diapers an hour. What do you guys drinking?
Like you picked your sponsor, like when the baby pops out, be like, Pampers sticker, like bumper sticker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we get a little yeah ding dong reference there from our buddy Jordan. Of course. Ding dong. Nicely played. I think Sutan was telling me that he brought a sample pack with him to the hospital, probably for moments just like this. So if you want to share what you got in your weird little plastic and or paper hospital cup, go ahead and let us know. Anybody else who's got something that's not in a hospital cup, let us know.
Let us know as well. Yeah, this
is fine, man.
I'll be honest with you, I already forgot what I paid for this. But I
was just thinking that I got this for I think $35, and I was wondering to myself where would I place that value wise? And really, I think it's fine. I mean, I used to buy this as my regular rye, but that was like a decade ago. And I don't remember what it cost then either. But it's kind of when I was like, oh man, rye's kind of cool. I'll get a bottle of that today. Yeah. And I would try it out and be like, hey, you know what? I like it. But it's like, so the path of this rye is so near the path of bourbon that if you like one, you will like the other. I feel like this is not a polarizing sip.
No, I mean, yeah. So the internet tells me I paid about $25, which I feel pretty good about this. This is not a high rye. This is really fruity. For a rye, which is very interesting. Yeah, there's some brown sugar, some nice toffee, like almost an apple.
Yeah, I get that same apple out of there.
There's not that bubble gum that some really young ryes have, which is kind of nice to have going on, but it's also not super oaky. So like one of the problems I have with like really old, barely legal ryes is that they basically just taste like really old bourbon.
Yeah.
Which I think this is young enough to still have that character that isn't, it's bourbon,
Sure.
But yeah.
I dig this. I even get like just a little bit of like a black tea on this
Oh
one.
yeah, that's a good one.
I
And the
like
nice part
that.
is like the proof is there. Like this has a really nice mouthfeel for being one just probably a bit too young.
Yeah, this could
But
be
the
a
50%
knockout if
helps
this
it.
was. I mean, if we're gonna let's just guess and call it 6 year, right?
Yeah, it can't be older than 7.
No, I wouldn't think so. But let's just pretend for a minute that we could try this at 10 years. I bet it would be absolutely fucking money.
Mm.
You know, I kind of want to grab I don't have it handy. The Basil Hayden now.
I bet this would trounce it.
This flavor wise, it does. But one thing they did right on that Basil Hayden rye is the mouthfeel is good. It's luxurious, even. I would go so far as to call it luxurious.
I expected a well behaved there, but I didn't get it.
No, it's so much more than well behaved. It's tame.
That's a good point.
All right, Jordan. Good night, man. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good night. Have fun doing CrossFit in the morning, dickhead.
Ooh. Yeah, this is nice. I'll be excited. The cast strength rye, I think, is 9 years, so we'll get a couple years extra along with a bump in proof. And probably a little bit better barrel selection, but I mean, $25. This to me is a direct competitor to Rittenhouse Rye Bottled and Bond for a couple bucks cheaper.
Yep.
And I might like it better. You know, it could be younger, but I doubt it. You know, Ritz Bottled and Bond, so 4 years. But bottled the Ritz a little earthier though, like a little more earthy pepper. This is a little more fruity tea. There's some pepper here, but not a ton. Sweeter.
Yeah, I don't grab a ton of pepper out of this one. I mean,
no,
it's light, but not. No, that's not where I want to go with it. It's moderately complex, but there's nothing that goes too deep on it.
Yeah, the profile I would call it is something I call it brighter. Like there's more fruit,
Yeah.
There's more flavor, it's more effervescent. There's a little floral to it.
I get on board with that.
It's really not like heavy or musty or like really rich or damp, which is fine. I mean, I just moved over. I started nosing the 9 year, and I think the difference is pretty big.
Yeah, I'm on the 9 year now too.
I was trying to remember if this was a limited edition, and I realized I missed that because it's on this chintzy little the copper.
Yeah, the little like
batch.
back of a bullet there that they put on it.
Yes, this is batch 2 for those wondering at home.
Yep.
John's drinking the same thing. I sent him a little bit. Batch 2. I wonder how many batches there are.
I
didn't think
2.
I needed to collect all the batches of this, but I guess maybe I do. But
I believe there's only 2 of this, and that 2 is the most current.
Okay, that makes sense. I bought that. I think I bought this for whiskey from home, actually. Aaron, great question. I don't know. I'm kind of a bitters heavy guy. I think that I would probably take the Rit for a Manhattan to get that darker, kind of earthier, a little more peppery, bitter flavor. I would use the Knob Creek in an old fashioned, and I would happily drink the Knob Creek just on a normal day to day, whether in a glass, on a cube. That'd be my shakedown. I think I'd use Rit for a little darker cocktail, but
what type of bitters you gonna put in that?
Yeah, exactly. But for sitting down on the couch and having a nice bourbon, I'd probably go for the Knob Creek.
Yeah. I'm thinking if I'm going to throw like a lighter, brighter Manhattan, it's going to be with Wild Turkey 101 rye. That's effectively my house rye at $30 a liter. It's one of the best values here. So I dig that one, and I could drink that one neat while I'm grilling, or I can throw that one into a little bit lighter Manhattan, because I mean it's got a ton of grapefruit, honey, sweet, light, bright notes, and just enough pepper in there that it kind of carries through.
That would be a really interesting series to do if we took 100-ish proof ryes without an age statement. Mm-hmm. I know we could get. What proof is Pikesville at? I think that might be 96.
I think it's 100. Shit, it's on the shelf in my office too. I walk in and see it like every morning. I'm like, oh, I should bring that home so I can drink it.
I bet we could get 4 or 5. That'd be really fun. But yeah, the nose on the limited edition is significantly different.
Oh, it's 110 proof.
It's more than that. It's 127 proof. Oh,
no, I'm talking Pikesville. Sorry. Yeah.
I was like, jeepers.
Yeah, I didn't apply context to what I was talking about there. Sorry.
110. That's okay. So that wouldn't work, but I think that's also probably about $20 more than everything else too.
Yeah, it is. I think I want to say that's $60 here anyway. I mean, then you're talking whistle pig material, which for me, I mean, I'm just a whistle pig nerd anyway. I really like their stuff. But at that price point too, you're also talking rare breed rye, which I think is a fucking killer too.
That one's good.
And that's like, I mean, I'm sure it would make, as you would say, bonkers Manhattan. But fuck's sake, man, drinking that one neat is so good that I don't know if I would want to change up from that.
It would be hard. Yeah, and that's like kind of in between this like mid-shelf price. And then like, because I mean, the Whistle Pig single barrels now are $80, 85.
You know, easily 80, yeah. All right, I'm going to dig into this.
Yeah. This is less oaky than I expected.
So I'm getting a decent amount of oak on it. I mean, just a little bit of that warehouse funk. I mean, enough that you could tell that this is most certainly more than 8 years old. What is it? Age stated 9?
It's not age stated, but they said it was barreled in 2010 and I bought it in 2019. So,
right.
It's got to be at least 8, probably 9. Since I bought this in May, I think there's a P18. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with these codes, but I could look it up. I would imagine this is 8 years.
Yeah.
It might be 9, but if I had to guess Beam, they're kind of slow moving, and this distro took a while.
Yeah, so. That's true. They are pretty slow. It just strikes me as being noticeably older. I mean, I get that punch of a vanilla right off. Like, I mean, it's like this has barrel written all over it. It's not like a crazy deep oak, but I mean, this is where the 100 is a little bit brighter. You get some of those like starting to age notes. This is just like, oh yeah, man, this has been sitting in the barrel. I mean, the legs on this thing just like drip nice and slow and heavy too.
And this is the first one. It's starting to get a little bit of that Beam funk to it, that toffee kind of peanut, which goes well with the rye spice. But there's definitely some more, that's coming through here. Caramel, that really nice clove note that I get on a lot of ryes that have some good age. For those that may not like dill, there's no dill here. It's not very herbal whatsoever.
No, I don't get any mint out of either of these.
Which is good. Some days I want that MGB profile so bad, but most days I don't. But it's a tiny bit hot. This bottle's been open since about May. I bought this for Whiskey from Home, so it's been open a couple months. I mean, it's got a tiny bit of heat, but for 127 proof, I think it's really.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that this drink's hot or even anywhere near its proof, really.
No.
I mean, I think that you could pass this off as 101 to 107 proof to any experienced drinker, maybe even to a lesser experienced drinker too. Yeah, there's a ton of great spice on this.
Yeah, that's nice. The finish has a lot going for it too.
Yeah, it runs.
Graham cracker. That berry note is still kind of there, which is kind of fun because usually the oak just cancels it right out.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting that. And it's not like a really pronounced like strawberry or raspberry. I mean, it's just like I'll give you berry, but I'd almost go. I'd almost go as far as to say like generic stone fruit. Like there's something in there.
Yeah, it's certainly not super prevalent. Great question, Hokie. I think the larger producing ryes help themselves in that they get to throw out really off-profile ryes. Some people like to say they age faster. I disagree with that. I think that they become drinkable faster. I think that they become tolerable to people who don't like really young stuff faster. On a flavor profile, the oak is there quicker. You're not getting just straight up spice bomb like a clove and pepper kind of spice cake, which is what I get a lot from like New Riff and Wilderness Trail. But I think the largest producing is that they have more barrels to pull from. They get to release the best barrels younger just because they have a bigger sample size. So Beam can have 10,000 rye barrels and they may only like 1,000 of them, but that's great because they get a ton of good rye young, and then the other barrels they'll leave behind. But New Riff may only do 100 rye barrels, and then if they want a good run, they either have to take 10, which is tiny, or they have to start to bring in some of those barrels that maybe don't make as much sense, but they need that volume. They can blend a little bit, but I think that kind of intermediate period between really young distillate and like those really nice old barrels is just an economy of scale. Even at random chance, the big guys have more better barrels probably coming to age.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be the economies of scale, just having a massive number of okay barrels to mix in with your smaller number of good barrels makes it a little bit easier to top a tiny selection of, hey, shit, these were great, and then the rest of them kind of sucked.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that, so when we picked our bourbon's New Riff last year, I asked for rye, and they said, no. And I came back this year, and I said, can I have rye yet? And they said, no. And I think that they're really close, but bourbon is their majority. So I know that they have even less rye than bourbon. And they'll let you pick through a lot of barrels for bourbon, but they don't have hundreds of thousands of barrels just laying around. So
right,
we'll get there soon, but smaller sample size, smaller honey barrels is my take on the issue. And then it's just young too. Like the old, the big guys have the big warehouses. You get a little more heat and stuff.
Yeah, shit, they probably lose more barrels than a place like Wilderness Trailer New Riff has, to choose from in the beginning.
Yeah.
So anybody that just tuned in here, we get a little scroller on the bottom of the screen letting you know, but we're just kind of going through the Knob Creek Shelfie Rye here, the 100 proof standard offering, $25 to $35. We've got the Knob Creek 2010 limited edition. I think it was batch 2, Jay said, of the Cask strength rye, which is what we're currently sipping now. Pretty good color, pretty good depth to it. And then once we kind of compare these a little bit more, we're probably going to crack into the Peerless. Well, I mean, I've already poured it, so I'm going to drink it, but we're going to get into the Peerless Rye, which is now finally not rocking an age statement. So as a straight rye, we know that must mean it's at least 4 years old. No color, no flavor added. So we'll check that out when we get through these and kind of see where we land on all of the above.
Woo!
Did that light you up a little bit?
That cast strength is good, man.
Yeah, man, it is good. I had somebody send me a sample of this before, the same thing, the batch 2.
Oh, nice.
And I really dug it then. It was blind at the time, and I couldn't tell. So it was, I was supposed to share my notes. And the best I got was basically, it's not bourbon, and I can't tell you if it's from Tennessee or if it's from Kentucky, but I can tell you that it's good and it's a cask strength. And that was about as far as I made it through. And then I shared tasting notes.
Okay.
And it turned out to be the Knob cask strength rye, which I was pretty impressed by.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll admit the 2009, I thought like, oh brother, here we go. It's going to be Knob Creek 2001 bourbon all over again.
Right.
I mean, I was really surprised. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm probably leaning the same way in this 2010. I think they're keeping the quality there, which is good. It wasn't just some fluke.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great rye. I mean, especially for something that is super available too. Like this is sitting on the shelf at local stores here. I mean, I could go grab this at, whatever it is. Let's just say between $60 and $70 because I don't exactly remember. But
yeah, I paid 57, I think, which is a few bucks more than I think I could have. And I think we're generally about that $10 cheaper here because we're not controls. That sounds very, very possible.
Yeah. I mean, for something that's not allocated, and it's just going to kind of hang out on the shelf, I think it's below my arbitrary limit of $75. You start getting up over that, and I'm going to be like, yeah, man, I just don't know.
Yeah, I like it. It has what I kind of consider to be the old Forester 1920 effect, and where I think it's about $5 more than it should be. But if that's what keeps it on the shelf, I'm always happy to pay that extra $5 because I know it'll be there for at least a while. It won't be there forever.
Right.
Oh man, the Cornerstone Rye.
Jeez, I think I might be lying, but I think I have some of that Cornerstone right here.
Oh, really?
No,
I don't know. I go back and forth on them.
That's not
Let
it.
me pull up my notes to compare. I really like this Knob Creek Rye, but I think it should really come as no surprise because I really, really like Knob Creek. Just something about the barrels they're picking for those are great. But yeah, so I don't know. I went back, I looked ahead. I rated them the same, which kind of jives with my memory. The knob is a little bit brighter, a little funkier, which is interesting coming from Turkey. You know, I would have expected the Cornerstone to be funkier.
I don't get a lot of funk in most of the turkey rye.
No, I don't. I think I would probably give the nod to Knob Creek because I like that it's available. I like that it's punching a little bit better. All of the Master's Keep lines seem to be good, but a bit muted for me, which is, you know, fine if you like it a little bit lower. But I don't know. I think it's good rye. I think that the Cornerstone's probably much older, but Turkey doesn't have that cult appeal. I think it was a good rye, but I'd probably take the Knob Creek, especially since they're going to keep releasing this and I can keep buying it, which makes me pretty happy.
Yeah, something that you can go back for when you like it and get another one is really fucking awesome.
Yeah. From a quality perspective alone, I think they're about equal. I think that they have very different profiles. And it depends on what you like.
Yep.
I would probably lean towards the Knob Creek. If we're talking personal preference and I can buy 2, maybe 3 Knob Creek for the price of a Cornerstone, that should be a no-brainer.
Presently, I don't have a brain, so that works out fine. Are you digging out any apple out of this? Because I feel like I'm getting some of that apple peel again here, and
this comes with apple pie. Which
Okay.
Let's take a look here too. Which batch do you have? What's your batch code? Mine's 150403 and then a 101.
Oh wait, are you still on the Cask? Because I'm still on that.
Oh, I started looking at Peerless.
Oh, fuck's sake.
The Peerless is like an apple pie.
Well, let me catch up to that. You know, in one of my recent reviews, actually, I wrote up that I don't like apple pie. And my defense immediately was, before you pull my American card, I want you to understand that for me, this is coming through as a little bit more of like an apple crisp that's got some like dark cherry in it. So apple pie isn't going to be something you see me pull out as a no, I don't think, unless it's something I'm not really particularly fond of.
I like to break it down. I mean, I think apple pie like evokes a really visceral memory, like a really bright, vibrant memory. I mean, I kind of like to break it down. Like, you know, we got the apple in there. There's some brown sugar. There's that nice, like the wafer
Cinnamon
of
kick.
the topping and the crust. There's that clove and cinnamon.
Right.
Which I think too is why like half of people assume that like tasting notes are bullshit just because like they can't break that down. Like even that garden nose note, you can say, you know, it's a little bit damp, it's a little bit musty, it's a little bit plastic, chemical. But yeah, so going back to the casting, I would agree the Knob Creek seems to really go in that apple pear light cherry. It's not a really dark fruit. There's no blackberry or currant.
Right. Yeah, I'm not digging out any type of raisin or anything that's like in the red fruit world there. Yeah, I'm pulling out a lot of good spicy notes there. Apple oak.
It's almost like apple peel too.
Yeah, that's like what it is for me. Is it coming through as like, when I think of it, I'm thinking of like when you're peeling up apples, the green apple, and you get kind of the oil from it on your hands, and you like throw the apple peels away and you smell your hands, you kind of get that like rich oiliness from the apple is what I'm getting out of there.
Yeah, that oily, almost kind of waxy fruit note.
Yeah.
Not like a wax fruit, but like it you know, I haven't gotten to that really juicy kind of the skin underneath.
And I think Hoagie's got a pretty good point there. We just lit apple pie on fire.
I mean, to me, they're very different. Maybe, and to be fair, I've been served apple pies, but I was like, this is an apple crisp. You served it in a pie pan, but you know, then vice versa.
Oh yeah, all different types of fucking heresy going on.
I do think that Leighton has a very good point that, yeah. And that's one of the reasons too. I really advocate, there's a million people taking reviews. There's no one you should feel compelled to listen to, especially if you find that your palate doesn't jive with what they like, or if you think they're full of shit, go find someone else. There's 10,000 of us out there. We all kind of look the same, but there's 10,000 people. And if you find that one guy, even if you find that you love all the stuff they hate, pay attention. Buy all the stuff they hate, you'll probably like it.
Right.
But people have trends.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a positive review can be as beneficial as a negative review if you know how to work with it.
Exactly.
And knowing, just like you say, I mean, if you know who you line up with, it can really kind of lead you down the right path. And you might go down the wrong path once or twice and learn the lesson the hard way. But once you get it figured out, I think that's something that can really be, pretty powerful as a consumer. And it's helped me a lot too. And it's kind of what started me on the path of like, you know what? I see what this guy's saying. I'm going to start writing down my own notes and compare them to theirs, and then see where I'm right or wrong compared to what they say to what I say. And it's never really truly right or wrong, because if you smell it or you taste it, it's real. It's there. It's right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
And that's
just
the
a
thing
matter of
too,
sussing out all the small details.
some people, and it's something I harp on, so I apologize if you guys have heard it before, but they're like I decided to like bourbon today. Why can't I taste anything? Well, I decided to run a 5K today and I didn't make it to the corner of the street. It's something you have to work on. Go to the grocery store, smell through all the spices. Pre-COVID, you could smell through like the granola, the dried fruits. It's about making those mental connections.
Dried fruits is a really good section to hang out in.
The bananas.
Oh, yeah. What I like to do is when there's something that a lot of folks are saying that they pick up, to pick an easy target here, I'll say like a banana note in an Old Forester or Brown Foreman. Yeah. Go grab like an Old Forester rye and then 2 or 3 other ryes and sip through your other ryes. And then when you come down to something like the Old Forester, see if you're picking up that banana note. And if that jumps out at you, then you could kind of cycle back to it and be like, okay, now I see how that note comes through to other people. Like, I like to try to do that. Like, I'm big on comparisons. I'll take 4, 5, 6, 10 different things and pour a little bit of each and kind of go through them all until I can dig out what it is people are talking about. And once you do that, I think it broadens your ability to explain what you smell and taste.
Yeah. And Leighton has a good point. It helps if you cook a lot of food, was the point he made in the chat. And this is actually, people believe, this is why women typically are much better at picking up smells and tastes, especially in whiskey, is because historically they tend to cook more than men. And so they interact with more foods, spices, flavors, smells, things they like, they don't like. And they kind of understand, you might have pepper and cinnamon, but if you combine them, that smells a little bit different. And that's changing, obviously, no gender always does the same thing. And a lot of men are cooking now and always have. But that's a very interesting point that people who are just experiencing more of these things tend to build those mental connections. That's really valuable for tasting. Like, I love to go to the farmer's market. Like I didn't know what okra smelled like for a long time. And I smelled it. Okay, we'll file that away. I haven't found some that really smells like okra that we drink, but
thank fuck for that.
Yeah, right. But like we were talking, when John and I were setting up, he was drinking something that smelled like bell pepper. And like that's just crazy stuff. Like, you won't find that in whiskey. We'll talk about other spirits some other time, but you have to get those connections to know what they are.
So I just dove into the Peerless here.
The Peerless. Did you find out what batch you had?
Or
your barcode number?
Let me do that.
I'm just curious if we happen, like, how funny would it be if we got the same
batch? Holy shit. This is all like 0s and 9s, man.
Oh, not me.
Like the last 4 of mine are 9109.
Oh, I'm 1504 03 101.
All right, I'm 1509 09
okay.
109.
Oh, okay, interesting. So they're not.
So mine's coming in at 54.9 ABV.
Mine's 54.8, so pretty close there.
Yep. I mean, it could be as simple as one barrel to the next, really, for all I know.
I was just wondering, like, since these are 200 milliliter, they must get 600 of these out of a barrel this young. Figured.
Yeah.
the odds of these being the same were pretty good, but yeah, Leighton, I do most of the cooking. I think it's super satisfying. It's my way to decompress between the working part of my day and the evening part of my day, which is the whiskey stuff.
Absolutely.
That's how I unwind. Some people,
I would say I do 95%.
It's fun. I really like it. Plus, like, I don't know, you get to be creative and whatever you wake up and want to cook, you cook. But yeah, the spices are a fun part because sometimes I smell spice and I get it. Like yeah, Hoke, you point out mezcal tastes like jalapeno popper, cream cheese, bacon, string bean, pepper,
Yep.
blue cheese.
Yeah, it could get I don't know what I guess I would generically call like pretty fucking weird.
Yeah. And I think too, yeah, we'll get into this one in a second. I think what's today's date? Today's the 7th. Yeah. Next week we'll be having a guest on and we'll be doing some bourbon drinkers try funky rum for the first time.
Yeah, the funky rum is going to get weird.
That's going to get weird. As the guy who's sending out the samples, I can tell you for sure it will get weird. But man, so a big complaint I had with Peerless, getting back to this, the first releases I had were really musty and like a young, malty, fresh cut grass kind of way. I mean, this doesn't have that at all.
No, I mean, I catch grain on this for sure, but it's not the funk of like too young whiskey.
No, it's a little malty, a little grainy, but not in a detracting way. And this is a fresh crack bottle, which kind of surprises me.
Yeah. No, this is, I mean,
wow.
What comes to mind for me is like it's very clean, like.
Yeah, and this is really balanced. The knob creep kind of was like pow, it's fruity.
Yep.
This is really balanced. There's toffee, there's some caramel, there's some pepper. Not a lot of pepper, but a little bit. A little bit of nice like rising bread.
Yeah, I get a little breadiness in there, a little bit of that grain forward.
I think of like when you pull
Toastiness.
sourdough out of the oven and you get that like crust smell.
Yeah. Yeah, that I associate that with like a toasty bread or something. And like I use that pretty frequently, and I guess I kind of use it in a nondescript way. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like when you get something that is fresh baked. Some vanilla in there for me too.
I might like
just a tiny touch of mint.
Yeah, it's like there's a tiny bit of herbal, but really
it's in check though. I mean, because that note can get really kind of strange, especially if it's a younger rye too, where this is I think balance is a good way to put it. I like this better than the bourbon that came with it, the 200 ml bourbon.
I would agree. I think that the rye is doing better.
For the age, yeah.
I don't think it tastes older, but I think that it's so much more complex.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem, I mean, the bourbon actually, just looking at it in a glass, it's got great color. It's got actually pretty good oak structure to it, some good spice with it, but it just doesn't balance the corn yet. Like, it just isn't quite there. I still think it's all right, though.
The first Peerless I had was actually a private society I'm in, picked barrel, that I bought, and I split it with a buddy because it was really expensive. It was like $100.
The prices are high.
This is at least better. I think the single barrel selection I bought was a selection from Liquor Barn, and I think that was about $25, which is high for 200 milliliter, but I'm happy to pay it if it's a small format. Mm-hmm. I think that these are going closer to 17 locally, which honestly, I mean, I'll buy one of these every year until they get to a point where I think that they're killing it. Then I'll buy a full bottle. But
yeah, I'm happy to spend, as much as 25, maybe even $30 on a 200 ml just to promote the size format.
Yeah.
If that's what I got to do, like if that's my asshole tax to finally get more people to do it, I'll pay it.
Well, and I hope to. I mean, we have a couple people viewing who are familiar with the mezcal industry. But mezcal producers are doing almost their whole core line, and they'll sell it either individually or as a set. And I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Like the La Medida Arqueño that I tried was some of the best mezcal I've had all year. And I went out and bought a full bottle. It's like $200. But since I got to try the 200 milliliter and I got to try 5 others at the same time, I mean, that's great. I hope that more people pick this up because I'd be happy to buy one of these every year just to try it out. No, this has a little wooden cap. Cork.
Yeah, it does not have a 3-pound cap on it.
I do still have the cap though, or the cork topper from my other bottle because it does weigh a whole lot. And I figure that if the end of the world is upon us, I can melt it down and use it for something. But
yeah, I don't want to talk about the whiskey inside the bottle, but if you ever have a chance to get the topper from a Rogue Dead Guy whiskey, get that. Because I'm pretty sure that counts as a concealed weapon in most states.
And I think that's the right way to talk about Rogue is to immediately lead with, we don't got to talk about Rogue.
Right.
But like,
But let's talk about the 17-pound pewter top that they put on that fucking bottle.
is it? I know the Whistle Pig, the Boss Hogs are heavy, but their cork is like 1/4 of an inch deep. Like you get 0 seal on the bottles. Is the Rogue one that bad, or is it a little bit long?
No, the Rogue one is fine.
Okay.
I don't know where Rogue is getting there. I will say at least Whistle Pig has a very, I don't want to say quite like farm to table, but one of those type of approach where it's geez, I'm going to get it wrong. I want to say it's like Danforth Pewter or somebody. It's like right down the road from them who makes their tops for their bottles.
Yep.
So they're working with a local producer to make those, and so I feel like if they then don't do it great, i.e., fuck it up, it's a lot easier to swallow that pill than it is to be like, well, they probably ordered all these fucking things from overseas and they didn't have the specs right, and they're never going to fix it. Like with Whistle Pig, they're going to turn it around and do it all right. Like the Whistle Pig 18 is a handmade glass top, and 1 out of every 3 of those that they make is actually good enough to fit onto there. Like, so they've got pretty good QC involved. Like they really kind of dig into it to make sure that they're putting a good product together for, I mean, what is a crazy expensive bottle, but at the same time, there's a lot of craftsmanship involved there. It's not just like, oh, we ordered all these fucking glass things and half of them worked and most of them broke in shipping, but whatever, guys, have fun. Like, enjoy the whiskey.
Yeah. To speak to the point, I think Whistle Pig, for as expensive as they are, is one of the least left open brands that I've ever seen. I mean, there are people that go out and buy all the Boss Hogs and keep them around, but that's not super different from any other brand. But I've had people I know open every single Boss Hog. I'm looking forward to trying the new one.
Oh man, the new Magellan that comes out here.
Yeah, my jury's out on that. I really like the concept of the last couple, especially with some wine or Armagnac finishing.
Mm-hmm. I'm super interested for the next one.
Yeah, I'll be curious to try it, especially it's too bad that Pickerel won't be involved with these going forward, obviously, which is a shame. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. A lot of people buy a lot of Whistle Pig, but I see a lot of it drank. A lot more than a lot more than the other brands.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm a nerd for Whistle Pig. I like what they do. It's also like the only thing in New England that is like kind of cool in the whiskey world.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like they're kind of my home team, even though, I mean, I don't really have a whole hell of a lot to do with Vermont, but it just it feels like something that I should like.
Yeah, I will admit, of the New England craft distilleries to not write off, I think Bully Boy has done some stuff that I've enjoyed. I have a buddy who lives in Mass that does a great.
Yeah,
he picks up a lot of stuff. And then whoever produces the hopscotch, I'll Google that later. I'll post it. But the hopscotch releases are all distilled from different beer mashes from a local craft brewery, which I think is super cool. But
I don't think I've dug with any of that yet.
I'll have to send you some.
Okay, waiting.
Oh, Antique Collection.
You mean people don't open those and drink them?
Occasionally, because we've never heard that before. I think the whiskey pun that I hate the most is just send it here and I'll dispose of it for you. Like,
yeah, easy. You know what I just grabbed out of this Peerless is I'm starting to pick up a little bit more light brown sugar, but there was I want to say white grape almost.
I can see that. I was going to say it reminds me of those oatmeal packets.
Ooh.
With like the brown
apple cinnamon and brown sugar, and what else is in there? There's cinnamon raisin maybe or some shit like that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Mad River. There we go. Those are the guys. They do cool stuff. But yeah, this, and I would have normally thought oat as being too musty, but like with the oat and a little bit of oak, this is really.
No, now that you say that, man,
this is.
I mean, confirmation bias is strong as fuck here.
Or I like that. Power of suggestion, but
Right.
Yeah, I think the more time I spend on Instagram, I realize that I'm doing Instagram wrong, but I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I don't have a goddamn clue how to use Instagram.
Like I'm just kind of fumbling around.
I post the same things on Instagram as I do on my website, and I'm like, did you guys see this yet? Did I see it? Have I seen it twice? Has anyone seen it twice? Like, I just don't know. Like, is this thing on? I'm like smashing my phone off my desk. Hello?
Yeah, it kind of like turning the lights on and off, like Fly. Yeah, this is a standard release. This is not a single barrel. This is not a selection. As far as I'm aware, Peerless kind of picked these off the shelf and sent them along.
Yep.
It actually, mine randomly showed up. I don't know why it got sent here, but I'll take it. So this is my, I think, 5th Peerless. This is the first one that I did not buy. If that matters to you, it's good. This is disclosure. It was free. And quite honestly, there was zero communication about it because they didn't talk to me at all. So you can be.
Yeah, very strange.
They didn't ask me to say anything about it because we didn't talk at all.
Yeah. I never have had a single conversation or email from Peerless at all. They just send whiskey and we drink it. So
I had one conversation. I forget how expensive it was. They released a series of flasks from new make that was unaged all the way to 5 years, I think. But they wanted like $2,000 for it. Because I asked, like, where will this be available? And like, oh, you have to buy it from us, and you can only pick it up, and it'll be $2,000. Oh, and that's where that ended. And that was like a year ago, I think, maybe 2 years.
yeah, we'll see you next time, guys.
It's like no. But this drink's really nice on the palate. This is much less. So I actually, not to bag on the Knob Creek Shelfie Rye, this guy here. This drink's way below that. This drink's at like 46, 48% to me. There's no world that I would believe that this is 54, almost 55%.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a good point, Blake. This guy is a fresh crack, which I think is interesting because I would have expected it to kind of rage on its way out until it calms down a bit. But and the Knob Creek Shelfie Rye may need to rest on its own. So this will be fun to come back to, but this is leaps and bounds better than the 2 years stuff.
Oh, yeah.
3 year I had. The 3 year single barrel from Liquor Barn can't compete with this.
Yeah, this is a totally different product and in all the right ways too. I mean, when I had the bourbon at 2 years, I was just like, it's not bad at 2 years for what it is, which is cool.
Correct.
It's nice to see because, I mean, everybody in the world has done the same for you as they have for me and sent you like, oh, here's a bottle of whiskey. I know you like whiskey. And it's like some local craft place who's aging stuff for like 18 months in a 30-gallon bucket out back. And you try it, you're like, yeah, well, that tastes a little bit like the inside of an otter's ass. And then you try 3 or 4 other things that are of the same age bracket. You're like, you know what, this all kind of blows. I don't like it. And then you try Peerless at 2 years. You're like, hey, you know what? I guess it is possible. It's not great, but at least it doesn't suck.
Yeah. This is good. What do you think? Should we rank these? I know that I can at least do order of preference. I'll throw out some numbers. I'm pretty confident here. At least these are first tastings of 2 of the 3 bottles. So this will probably change by the time I get to the bottom and post it up online. But
okay,
I'd be surprised if we didn't agree here. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
I'm going to put the Knob Creek Cask Strength Limited Edition first.
Agreed.
I won't say it wasn't close, but I don't think it was also a very fair comparison. I think it was
order
really
of magnitude.
Cool. Yeah, it is an order of magnitude. I'd probably, I mean,
they're totally different weight classes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is really good stuff. I don't know a lot about the Beam warehouses. They have so many of them. This is from Warehouse A. I thought it was awesome. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's great whiskey. Maybe this will be where we break down. I think the Peerless is better than the Shelfie Rye.
I don't know if I'm ready to give it that or not.
Okay. I think for this tasting on
they're
2
so close
cracks,
though.
Yeah, these will totally change. But on first crack, I think the Peerless comes out swinging a little harder. I think that the Knob Creek Rye might open up and overtake it, but it is drinking really nice for 4 years.
I think I like the complexity of the nose on the Knob Creek just a little bit more, but the finish of the Peerless is a little better for me. And the more I dig into the Peerless, the more I'm getting out of it. So I guess it's a real close decision for me. I'd put the Knob Creek ahead of it, but not. I mean, this is like a Tuesday decision that would be in flux on a Wednesday.
Well, and the nice part is we can work through these bottles. Yeah, you're right. So I'm going back. I actually think I like the Peerless nose a little bit better. An our Bourbon Peerless pick. I don't know that I could move enough Peerless bottles. I think our Bourbon is pretty hostile to Peerless. And for they came out a little weird. Peerless was like, yeah, we'll grow into the price tag. So take a 2-year whiskey for $130. Like,
yeah,
that's not a great plan in my opinion.
I mean, especially trying to justify it by saying like we see our product on the shelf at this price point.
Yeah,
because we feel it's premium, so we have to price it at a super premium level, because if we don't, it won't work. Like, that kind of missed the mark for me.
Especially like if it was in a smaller spirits group where there were less options, that might work, especially maybe a more premium spirit. But like bourbon is the king of good, easy to find, and inexpensive. And they just fucked all three of those.
Right. And rye doesn't have the notoriety to go along with it yet. I mean, their rye at 2 years, yeah. I mean, it was good for 2-year rye. Probably one of the better ones out there, but still, like, who's paying $100 for it, man? Like,
yeah,
that's aggressive as hell.
Dominating the best 2-year rye category isn't like a sustainable brand worthy accomplishment, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's some impolite things that I would say about. I would colorize that comment in a way that I don't want to do live. It's odd marketing, but people buy it. Yeah, you get a point, Hokey.
They really do. I will admit, though, so the Knob Creek on the palate, a little better behaved. There is a little must in the Peerless. This one's like an apple pie. The other one's a little fruitier, more pepper. But there's that brown sugar oatmeal note I'm kind of into. So
yeah, there is that.
Fun to watch.
I dig that in the Peerless. I do. I just don't think that the few things that I would pick at the Peerless about the smallest, the complaints that I would have, I don't have in the knob. So it's just enough for me to put that one higher. But
that's
it's by a small. I mean, this is winning a race by a half step.
Yeah, I think
not quite photo finish, but close.
It could be photo, but I think the perhaps unfairly the limited edition rye is just a standout, and I'm thinking I'm going to drink some more of that.
Yeah, that's far and away.
That's fantastic.
Superior. It is really good rye.
Yeah,
it kind of makes you wish I had grabbed a few more rye selections to get out here.
Well, if you need any, next time you're through here, I'm sure we can get you some. I haven't the double barrel rye around here. I haven't bought it yet.
I haven't either.
Curious about that one.
It released at like $70 or something. Like, I think
it's
something pretty high that I was just like, unless somebody I really trust is going nuts about this, I'm buying $50 juice all day, because this just is not quite what I'm looking for. I mean, it doesn't quite hit my arbitrary limit of $75, but holy shit, does it push the threshold?
Especially like there's things that can get me there, like a Four Roses pick, but a no age statement rye that's double barrel, then who knows? I need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, Hokey did have a good point there about the Peerless bottle itself, where Corky did he was on an episode of Bourbon Pursuit. I think he discussed in depth how a lot of their cost does come from having an expensive bottle, and they did win like some fucking awards for having the most kick-ass bottle, and it does look kick-ass. That's true. But maybe save that for like when your stuff is like 6 years old and like you kind of relaunch it with the most kick-ass bottle when people are a little bit more horny to pay $90, $100+ for it.
Yeah, that's the camp I'm in. Like, price it when it gets there.
Yeah.
That's just and like other people have expensive bottles. Driftless Gun has a very expensive bottle. It's not
with a fucking thumbprint.
Yeah, and I mean they buy those at $70,000 at a time to get the price to be competitive.
Man,
I don't think it's $13, but like Yeah, I don't know. That's 10% of your cost just right there in the bottle, which I think is just exorbitant.
Man, I did something with the at least it doesn't suck thing.
No, I think that's a good point though. Like so many times I'm in a craft distillery and I'm like, well, this isn't bad. And then I leave. Like,
Right.
there's no like, oh, this is great. So I can tell you, I think that there's a lot that goes into picking a good craft distillery. I can tell you like the 5 that I really think are nailing it now, and I think you should look at until next year when we reevaluate. But like, I have to say, Driftless Glen, New Riff, Wilderness Trail, Finger Lakes. I'm trying to think. I got one more here. Those are the big 4 for me. Everything outside of that is kind of risky. I haven't had Taconic, which I am told is good by Instagram, so I don't know if I believe it. Maybe
Yeah.
Woodinville, but Woodinville tastes really young. So who am I
I've
missing?
heard good things about Wilderness Trail Rye.
Yeah.
I haven't been down that road. I've tried 2 of their expressions of bourbon, and both of them for me were, on my my craft corner scale, they were the not quite ready. Like, this is just still too musty, too funky. If you're going to make a wheated bourbon, you got to give it enough time to get there, and it wasn't for me. I've heard that the rye is very good, but I haven't touched it yet, so I can't say. It's not for sale here, so everything I get has been shipped in at moderate expense, and it's just like, after 2 strikes, do I really feel like trying to get another one? The answer so far is no, but if I can get my hands on a sample of the rye, maybe I'll lean that way. But I think that's one that does seem to do pretty well. I mean, a lot of folks that I trust like it. I'm not there yet.
That's a good point. To Oki asked if Willet is in the craft for the rye. Yeah, I mean, Willet distillate is totally craft. I'm personally not a fan. I've thought a couple were okay.
So we're talking the 4-year rye.
Yeah, and they've done the 3-year and the 2-year. I'm not a fan. I'm passing. I think it needs 8 or 9. I try it every time I can. I don't think New Riff's doing anything to make them taste more mature. I think they're just giving their barrels time. They'll tell you when you do a selection there, they pick barrels they think are ready. There's tons of barrels that aren't ready that they're going to age 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that they're giving you the barrels they think are most ready, but it's clear that they're young and that they're a little on the hot side. They're not mega complex, but they're not musty. They're not gross. They're not young. They're using full side barrels. They're in Kentucky. They're getting the weather. They got what they need.
Full size barrels is key, man.
Yeah,
I'm so fucking sick of craft guys just trying to rush whiskey with smaller barrels. It just does not work. I mean, unless you have outstanding distillate going into that barrel, you're not going to have a good product coming out. And even if you have outstanding, fresh off the still, put at the proper proof and going into that barrel, even if it's great, man, the chance of coming out with, hey, at least it doesn't suck, not great.
Yeah, I'll make 2 points to that. So the 5th distillery I forgot was Chattanooga. I think they're doing great stuff, which leads into so both of the barrels I picked from Driftless Glen this December were actually 30-gallon barrels, which I didn't know when tasting blind. I tasted 53 and 30 side by side, and I think the malt makes a big difference. Those both had some malt in them. The rye was quite high in malt. It was 25% malt, split between caramel malt and I forget what other kind of malt. But
are they using chocolate malt?
I don't.
No, that's Woodinville, I think.
That would be Woodinville. I know is using Choco malt. I think the small barrel thing is bad when it's done wrong. I think the 30 gallons is about as small as you can safely go. I think Driftless really killed it. The majority of their stuff is in 53 right now.
Yeah.
But I tried a lot of 30-gallon stuff from them. It's actually pretty good, but I think that's due to the high rye malt or the high malt content, which Chattanooga is doing too. And the single barrel that just hit is fantastic. So I think that the approach, I mean, like Koval, Few, 291, everyone.
Caramel malt, says Hokey for the Driftless.
Okay. Yeah, caramel malt, the Driftless, but there's a lot of people doing small barrels wrong. I think there's 1 or 2 doing it right. Thankfully, one of them is near me, but I would agree otherwise. Banned.
These guys.
I'll be really excited to get back to New Riff this year. Get to New Riff next year. They're fun to watch. They're still kind of out front to me. I think they're doing everything right, nothing wrong. I'm excited to do some Finger Lakes. I think Bull Run is doing some cool stuff. I haven't had a lot from them. I have some more to try soon.
I don't think I've tried any of their own distillate, just their MGP stuff. And in the form of a 9-year American whiskey and then a 12-year American whiskey that they then finished in Pinot Noir from wherever it is that they have local. Yeah, Bull Run.
Okay. I think I have like a 13.5 that's like Pinot Noir and like 11 years MGP. So kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, those I thought were excellent for what they were, especially for the price, but it's not their stuff yet. So I don't know what they're making, if it's any good. They really hype up their, the Bull Run watershed and how that's supposed to make a great difference. But until we see that stuff come through, I'm not entirely sure if it does or not. But I liked their source stuff.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, those are big on my list for craft. For one guy that's doing it right, I think there's probably about 100, maybe more. Unfortunately,
it's more.
Just not there yet. Either they're bad or they're not there yet. But it's a good time to be in a craft whiskey. It's a good time to try new stuff. It's not as offensive as it was 5 years ago.
True.
And some of that early shit was, literally offensive. It was disgusting.
Oh yeah. Well, I still feel like a lot of it around here locally is, we're pretty we're pretty well removed from most spirits, aside from, New England has history in distilling rum,
That's right. Yeah.
But even that is like gone the way of shit like Kraken and like these other like crazy sweet spiced rums that, if you're not 19, if you're not 21, you're probably not really that interested in.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time getting on board. And I always try them. Like, there's always a local spot that's doing a tasting or something like that, and I'll always try them out. And I especially like when you could converse with somebody there who knows what they're talking about, and say, explain to me your process. Like, let's talk about the mash bill. Let's talk about your aging, where you're aging them, what you're putting them in, things like that. And I love getting good, honest, clean feedback on those. But shit, man, it's just usually like, yeah, your 18-month rye like is like a little bit buttery, but your bourbon is fucking trash. Like, and I hate feeling like that, because it's just like, I want you guys to have something great. I would love to like it. If you could make something that I thought was even like doesn't suck like by a little bit, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually happen.
Yeah, in here, I have three distilleries nearby. I have Driftwell's Gun, which is probably my favorite. Great Lakes Distillery, who makes an incredible gin. Their whiskey's okay. They're in Milwaukee, so about an hour away. We have Dancing Goat, who's still sourcing their rye, so not really real. It's hard to find good craft places close, especially in COVID when you can't just go travel everywhere, which is what I'm really missing.
Right.
I used to just travel to all these places and try them and maybe do some picks and stuff. But yeah, it's a weird time for craft. I hope a lot of them make it. I think the big guys will. I'm kind of hoping that the next New Riff isn't there undiscovered struggling away because they just got a bad break, but it could happen.
What we need to do is we need to find out who in the shit works at Bird Dog Whiskey, and we need to talk to those guys.
Oh man,
I have got a fucking laundry list of things that they need to hear, and I could totally fix that brand in like 20 minutes. This is like fucking easy.
It's fun too because I have minis of all their flavored stuff for series that I was like, yeah, I'll do that, and then I'm having a hard time motivating myself to do it because I have like a chocolate one, right.
You'd rather throw up clamshells and drink fucking chocolate whiskey.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time really admitting. I do admit though, the one pride and joy of that is I do have a Dusty Benchmark Peach that was distilled at Buffalo Trace.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, oh, that's neat. I'm still not super excited for it, but
it's a cool thing to have, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Collector's item.
Which felt, I was like in the store and I was like, look at this. And everyone was like, it's peach. Get past that. But Yeah, Bird Dog, I don't see a lot of redeem, and they've been around for a long time. There's no reason.
They have no fucking excuse.
But maybe they're just the McGillicuddy's benchmark. You know, I don't think they're trying to. What they're selling is probably not for people like you and I, which sounds super snooty, and we don't say it for really anybody else. But I mean, if 90% of your catalog's flavored whiskey, it's probably.
I mean, they're releasing a 10-year product. I mean, even if they're not
worse though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, like, they're aiming at an enthusiast with that.
That is a good point.
They're missing, but they're aiming.
Yeah, you're right. I guess,
and that's the beginning of my rant about Bird Dog. See, TD gets it. He's on the right page.
That is fair, TD.
But I mean, they just had new labels hit TTB like a month ago, 2 months ago. And I mean, I don't want to disparage it too much because I want them to be something that I want to buy.
Yeah.
I want them to be in a spot that I like. So I'm not trying to beat up on them in like a totally negative way. It's like I want to do what we can as whiskey geeks to like help these guys not do stupid shit.
Yeah, like I want you. Yeah, like if I can help you to make something that I want to buy, then I will buy it, and you'll get
right.
Money.
Yeah, I mean, I'd buy a case of that 10-year if it was
good.
You know, right? If it was done right, and it wouldn't be incredibly different or difficult or anything out of what they're probably already doing.
Yeah,
they're just missing the mark in a few ways that, like, I really feel like, without even changing their budget that much, would probably like be attainable.
And I wonder if they're like, hey, maybe let's try and appeal to the enthusiast, and then they did it all wrong and were like, enthusiasts don't care. They went back to
right. Yeah, they use the incorrect metric for determining their success. They're like, oh well, it didn't work out. It's like, well, you used like labels that kind of look like they were made by an undergrad student at a local community college, and I mean, not to say that somebody in that situation could make a great label, but Bird Dog's labels kind of blow. I mean, like, I kind of like the old-timey look of their current dog labels. But the labels that they just had that hit TTB, man, they just look not that awesome. And they're definitely not something that your dude with a $5,000 Upland shotgun and $600 dog crates and a $60,000 truck who's going to go shoot pheasants in South Dakota. Like, that dude's not going to buy that whiskey.
He's buying Whistle Pig.
Right. He's going to go buy something that costs like $80 or $90 and be like, yeah, those other guys don't fucking know anything.
Yeah. I think I'll never label a brand as a total lost cause.
No, you can always fix your problems.
Well, there's one or two exceptions, but
I mean, as long as you're making whiskey or at least sourcing whiskey that isn't absolute garbage, you can fix your problems.
That's a good point.
Okay.
But thankfully they're one in a couple hundred or 1,000. The 10-year, if it was good. I mean, it's not good. It's fine. But you know, it's also fine. This is fine.
Right.
This is fine. Fucking bullet barrel strength for $35 is better than fine. Which, by the way, I guess I tasted that last Thursday. We have to do one of these too. There's no reason this should be $35 here in Wisconsin, but it is, and I'm gonna buy it all day long.
I don't even know if we get that here.
It's crazy. It's clearly Four Roses. It's barrel strength. It's $35. It's like 62, 63, 64% ABV.
Right. People are paying $80 for that all day everywhere.
It is a wooga. It's why my head hurt last Friday, but it was worth it.
That will happen.
It was good, but yeah. So I think fire away with a couple questions. I got a few more minutes. Overall, I mean, I was super impressed. I thought everything here was pretty good. The Peerless was the biggest surprise. I didn't expect that much improvement in the last year. The Knob Creek, and I guess Knob Creek Limited Edition's got a bad name because 2001 just sat around forever. They did a terrible job. It was 3 times the price of a single barrel. It was older and better, but this ride's a different story.
Man, Knob Creek is a brand. I feel like they have weird identity issues. Like, they released Knob Creek 12, which is, in its own right, a great product.
Yeah.
It's 100 proof, tastes good, age stated, very nice tasting whiskey. It's like $60 here. But then you look at a 15-year-old Knob Creek single barrel store pick that comes in at $50. You're like, well, this is older, age dated, cheaper, and generally speaking, better. And it's another 20 proof points higher.
Unfortunately, those are going away. I think those 12 and 15s are storming in to take up the excess quantity.
I've been thinking the same thing. I haven't seen it yet, though. I mean, Maine just got a 15-year Knob Creek barrel, which has never, ever happened before. Like, of all fucking
knowing
places.
Maine, they probably picked that like a year ago.
Yeah, it might have been 6 years ago for all I fucking know, man.
I mean, it could be.
They probably picked that thing when it was 9 years old.
Yeah, Knob Creek, though, you made a great point. They have branding problems, or like, I don't know, their branding doesn't make sense in a line that already kind of doesn't make sense. Like Baker's until the rebrand made no sense at all. It had no reason existing. Knob Creek's gotten better, and maybe they'll change as they do the 12 and 15, but it's clear they're trying to take up shelf space.
Right. I mean, it's still a little weird if you look at it. Like, Knob Creek is now, again, age stated at 9 years old. Baker's is 7, and now it's a single barrel, but it's still cheaper or more expensive rather than the Knob Creek 9-year. So you have a 9-year age stated product that's cheaper than the 7-year age stated. Then you've got Booker's, which is not age stated at all, that we all understand to be at least 6 years.
No, Booker's,
which is more expensive than all of the above. Then you have Knob Creek 12-year.
Or did you? Booker's definitely has an age statement on it.
Well, it doesn't have an age statement. It just has a dump date, correct? Or distill date, dump date. Like, you know how old it is.
I mean, at least the old ones, they said 6 years, 2 months. They said down to the day.
That was just like for the batching, though, right? That wasn't like an actual Booker's age statement.
That seems like an age statement to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's like each one is going to be different, though. It's not like saying Booker's is a 6-year product.
Oh, Booker's, I mean, they're always at least 6. So they all used to be 8. Then they were 7. Now they're all at least 6. It's going down.
Yeah, I mean, they give you the age on it, but I meant it in the sense that it's not like saying Booker's 6-year bourbon.
Oh, yeah. There's not a blanket.
Right.
No, that's a good point. It's not like Baker 7. It's always 7 years. Or maybe
exactly.
a bit older.
But then again, Baker 7 comes out when it's 8.5 years old when it releases. Like, I mean, it's just like, it's identity issues to a T, and I don't fucking understand it. I love it because I like so many of the things that Beam does, but
yeah,
man, is it confusing.
Getting deleted. Yeah, I haven't tried a lot of new Heaven Hill stuff. I'd love to try the Larceny Barrel Proof. I think I'll try 1 or 2 of those soon, but I don't know when. Yeah, I don't know. I really like Beam. There's a lot of reasons to not like Beam at all. I feel some of them from time to time, but I don't know. I think Knob Creek's my sweet spot. Booker's is too expensive for me now. It's too young. Knob Creek has the proof. It has the price. It has the age. And every year I have less and less bad Knob Creek. It's kind of a win.
Yep. I'm with you, man.
Cool beans.
I still think that Knob Creek 100 is good.
Yeah.
It carries that Beam profile, and I just like that shit. So it's a little tough to say that the younger stuff beats it tonight.
This is, yeah. I go back and forth. The Pierce, I can't decide. But the Knob Creek, I mean, nothing is bad. One of these nights, we will have to just drink terrible product.
Do we have to?
We'll do it in like 2021 some other time. We have too much good stuff to drink in the meantime.
Okay. Yeah, as long as we can keep a pile of good stuff, I guess we don't have to suffer the bad stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think that Knob Creek Limited are honey barrels. They're selling gonzo batches of them. They're gigantic. There's no way it's a single barrel. I don't think it's a blend of honey barrels that are too young. I think that they pick some. Yeah, I haven't tried yours yet. Sotan, however you pronounce it. But
Sudan, Sotan.
Sure, nice. I don't know. I think things are far less nefarious with the Knob Creek. I think they probably picked a bunch of barrels to profile. They set them out, and then no one buys them, which is a shame, but it's the truth. But
no, Sultan, I'm all set. You don't have to send me anything else terrible. That fucking one sample of BSB brown sugar bourbon that you sent me ruined my entire infinity bottle, and I'm gonna hold that against you until somebody else drinks that entire infinity bottle.
That's bad.
So yeah, you could keep those. You can send them to Jay if you want, but I don't think he needs any more shit whiskey.
I have so much bad. I have so much whiskey, but I have so much bad whiskey too. It's unreal.
Tuesday night streams do not need to have crowdsourced bad samples. If you guys want to send something that's good and then mix in one that you think is bad, tell us what it is so we can throw it out. We might consider doing that.
I do like a Christmas special.
Oh, you want to do that at Christmas?
But like 2 weeks before Christmas. It doesn't. We don't have to ruin Christmas.
Okay.
The point
I'll
being,
take
like,
it under
I would do it,
advisement.
like once a year. And
So earlier, Jordan was in here saying that Sutan was my my agent who wears white Oakleys, and he is now the guy offering to send us terrible stuff on purpose.
what a terrible agent.
Yeah, I think I might be in the market for a new agent and some new whiskey. Luckily, DJ made it.
Oh yeah,
Rare Bird
welcome.
101 shows up late
Yeah,
to the party, but fashionably so.
Yeah, just in time for the send off mostly. But
Yeah, I still have a little bit of the good stuff left.
the limited, yeah.
Yeah,
I like to
saved that
keep
one.
going back to it. That's a no contest for me.
Oh, absolutely. The complexity is just, it's night and day.
I'm curious too.
Why did you infinity bottle that? It was an accident. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm curious to think of what you are going to think of the rums next week.
Did you send me rum? I thought I only had mezcal here.
Oh, you have rum on the way.
Oh, do I have to?
I think it'll be good. I think Joel's going to join us for that.
Yeah, I think. Is it
Mr.
Joel or Jordan, or maybe it's both?
I think just Joel, maybe Jordan. But I'll be curious to see a bourbon drinker's take on rum. Razzle them for charity. No.
It's not charity when you give away stuff that you personally think is horrendous,
That's like goodwill.
or cynicism, or like some type of like mortal sin of some type.
Yeah, it's like goodwill, but like used the wrong way.
Is that bad will? I should have waited till you weren't drinking on that. What
The worst,
the
I was like,
fuck
is
is
there a
wrong
pipe
with
here?
us?
And I was like, no, there's not. I'm safe. And I had sent it, but
Yep. Classic us. Where's the rare breed rye? Yeah. We should we could have start lining up. I don't know. We could have gone a little bigger tonight, I guess. Or maybe not tonight, but this is a good stepping stone for maybe doing another rye
do a big
comparison.
run. Yeah. Like I said, I think there's a bunch of rye around 100 proof that'd be real interesting. Old overhauls in there.
Man, Overholt's got a new age-stated rye coming out.
They do.
The Pennsylvania rye, maybe? Was it a 13-year? I don't remember what it was. I saw the label hit TTB 2 months ago, and I was real horny about that.
That should be interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think the old proof. I think the old Rendezvous rye was 96 proof. So a little shy, but we could probably find an old barrel with that.
All right. Well, I think that we really kind of sussed out all the winners here.
Man, we blew by our time too. I didn't realize it's already.
Yeah.
We're
not real good at keeping it to a 1 hour format. Oh, we only have 3 samples. It'll be easy. All right, everything.
But yeah, for those just wrapping up, if you have to buy a rye, make it the Knob Creek limited edition.
Yeah.
2010. 29 is really good too. I like them about the same. Knob Creek rye. I think in the end, I would give the nod to the Knob Creek rye. It's got more going on the palate. But the Peerless Rye is totally different than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last year.
Yeah, they get a good thing going.
In 3 years, it's going to be crazy. But yeah. You got anything else, John?
I got nothing else. I got nothing but good things to say, but they're not appropriate.
I'm good with that. Cool. Well, thank you for your time, guys. Thanks for dropping by. On Reddit tomorrow, I will post all the updates for Russell's Reserve and Smooth Ambler. If you want to find my work, I'm online. Take that review. My handle badge is right there. It's spelled a little funny. And I'm on Instagram and Twitter. And John, take it away.
I think that's pretty much everything we got for you guys tonight. I think we're going to dip into what is it next week? Funky rum, not just like regular rum, but funky rum.
Oh yeah, bourbon drinkers try funky rum for the first time.
Bourbon drinkers try fucked up rum for the first time. That'll be
Funky.
next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. Funky rum. We're gonna check that out next Tuesday, about the same time, probably 9:00. We'll have a couple of guests with us. It'll be fun. If you want to look between now and then, I'll have a few reviews dropping. Jay has like 75 reviews between now and then. I think I have 2. Other than that, guys, thanks for coming in. Sultan, want to wish you and your family a good one. Cheers.
Likewise.
Congratulations. And everybody else, have a good night. Take care.